Welcome back to the Bookcast Club, a podcast for readers. We're your hosts, Jenny, Belle and Sarah, and as we're starting a new season, we thought we'd introduce ourselves properly again. Sarah reminded us that we did this last season and descended into all kinds of conversations about roast dinners, I think.
Very
so,
chaotic, yeah. But I listened to the episode in prep for this podcast and I was like, are we always this chaotic? I don't think so. I think we were just very excited. It was the first episode we had
very
Belle as
excited.
an official host, and I think we were just vibing.
Excited to be
just
there.
Vibing.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Do you want me to go first?
Yes,
You can
please.
go
I'm
first.
still
Yeah,
waking up.
first,
Sorry,
like-
I'll be awake as well.
Okay,
Sarah
I'll
can
go
go
last.
last.
Sarah's waking now. It's my bedtime.
Jenny's falling
Let's see how
asleep.
this goes.
Girls had
Need to
no
get it out of
sleep.
the way.
I'm just happy to be here. Yeah.
I'm Jenny, and I'm the UK contingent on the podcast. The only UK contingent now. I'm just surrounded by Aussies. Yeah, so I live in Norwich in the UK, and I think I said this last time, but I've been doing this podcast from the start. 8 years now. 2017 we started, so I can't believe we've been doing it for that long. Yeah, started as a bit of fun, and not that we're mega serious now, but we're consistent, and you get more out of us than when we first started the podcast. It was very casual. Yeah, so that's me. I'm a mum. I have 2 small children who take up the majority of my life and affect my reading hugely. As soon as we finish, I'll go try read in bed and I will fall asleep reading. So everything takes me so much longer than it ever used to. But yeah, that's me. Belle, did you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. We'll let
While
Sarah
Sarah
wake
drinks
up a little
coffee.
bit more. I can see she is looking a little bit brighter though, so I think it's working.
Thank you.
I am Belle. I am the newest to the Bookcast pod crew. I've been listening though since Sarah joined, so in 2020 maybe?
20,
It's when 2020. So I've been following along and there's been a beautiful rotation of hosts and I've now been here. This is officially 2nd season with me as a host as well. I'm coming to you from Naarm, Melbourne in Australia. I am a junior doctor doing my training in paediatrics at the moment, and so that takes up the majority of my time and the time that I'd rather be reading. But yeah, I don't know what else to say really. Big reader, I always have been, and my sort of my specialty is memoirs, and it seems to be memoirs specifically about women deciding whether or not to have children at the moment. So maybe that's the stage of life I'm in. But yeah, no, really, really enjoy memoirs, trying to branch out a little bit. And yeah, with the help of the pod. So that's me. I throw to Sarah now, who looks a little bit more awake.
I'm 2/3 awake, I would say. Since I only
She
woke
with
up
us.
about 3 minutes before we started recording. Hello, I'm Sarah. I joined the pod in 2020. It was a bit of a lockdown hobby, I guess, or something like that. I think you guys were looking for a new host in 2020, so that's how I joined. I am from Australia originally, but I live sometimes in the Netherlands, sometimes in Australia. I have to go back and forth. So that is why sometimes you'll hear me saying I'm there, sometimes you'll hear me saying I'm here. Today I'm coming to you from Lutruwita, also known as Tasmania, so little island in the south of Australia, very beautiful. I'm looking out at a very foggy and lovely morning this morning. I am a scientist, also do a lot of teaching, and I read mostly literary fiction, mostly fantasy. But this year I'm in a huge non-fiction kick. I don't know what's happening. I keep reading non-fiction. So that's been interesting. So I think we're going to do an episode about that in future weeks. Yeah, that's about all there is to me, I think. I don't think I can think of anything else. I like running. That's my other main hobby. And yeah, saw a cool eagle yesterday. Saw a massive Tasmanian wedge-tailed eagle.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I think you might have seen
photo.
that on my Instagram.
Pretty awesome.
They're some of the biggest eagles in the world. We saw one yesterday. I was driving to work. And their wingspan is 2.8 meters, and it was just sitting.
Oh my God.
They're enormous birds. Enormous birds. They're bigger
It's
than.
so hard to imagine when birds are that big.
Yeah, they're bigger than
Oh my God. what's
American
that?
bald eagles and all that kind of stuff. There's
I'm
chaos in the
I'm so
background.
sorry. There's a bit of chaos
It's
in
the
my house.
fourth
at the moment.
co-host.
I have I've got a new kitten. Her name's Etta, and I've got an older Siamese cat, and she's a Siamese as well. And we're day 2 of them meeting, and it's going well, but there's just a lot of ruckus. So apologies Hopefully that won't interrupt the episode too much.
Last time we recorded together, Belle, it was the first day. It was a Patreon episode. It was the first day that Etta had, or one of Etta's first days, I think. So we've just got all the key moments captured on the phone.
Yeah. At the moment, they're like playing cat and mouse, and it's good. Like, it's not. I don't think it's too dangerous for Etta, but it is a little bit rough. Try to keep the distraction to a minimum.
I never said what kind of books I like to read. Just glossed over the fact that I don't read anything, so no interest in reading at all. I would say like gothic fiction, spooky stuff, but it's been a really long time since I've read anything like that. Maybe even since I've had children. I don't know. Book taste can change, I think, depending on your anxiety levels, what you can cope with. So I don't read a lot of that anymore. I would say I am also quite into memoir, more along the celebrity memoir tends to be the way that I tend to go. And yeah, fiction, contemporary fiction. Yeah, Aggie women. I like them as main
What's
characters.
Aggie, Jenny?
What's Aggie? Yeah.
What are you
Aggie,
talking
just
about?
like, sorry, bit of UK slang. Just like slightly stressed out, anxious, angry. Yeah.
Aggie,
Do you remember, Jenny, like 100 years ago, we were in a little book club together? I just remember when you said gothic horror. We're in a gothic book club. This is before I was on the
fiction
podcast.
one.
I don't remember how that materialized, but we were a little online. I just remember reading that book about that house that was really alive and the walls were quite creepy. I still think about that sometimes. I hope you don't. That's all the information you need, because I certainly don't remember the name of the book.
Was it very
There
short?
definitely would have been lots of books with houses.
It was 300 pages, I think.
Oh. I was going to say, was
was
it
it-
the yellow wallpaper one?
No, it was a
No,
proper like
you
was it
didn't
Mexican
remember
Gothic?
that.
Was that Mexican Gothic or was that something else?
The Mexican Gothic's the mushroom. Perfect.
Okay. It's a lot of
fungus.
Yeah, there was a book where there was a really alive house with like really growy walls. Do you remember this?
Oh my god.
Maybe you didn't read it, Jen.
No.
Well, your book club. I hope
Yeah,
you did.
maybe I didn't really just let you guys talk, pretended I read it. Yeah, it's ringing bells, but yeah, I probably couldn't say which one that was.
I don't know why I brought it up, to be honest, but I still think about that book sometimes.
Anyway, where's my episode planner?
This is casual conversation about how we've been doing. Belle, do you want to tell us casually how you've been doing? Don't make it too formal, please.
casually.
I implore you.
Cash, please.
Super cash. I don't really know how to do that.
Just tell us in a way that's very nonchalant, please.
So I don't know. My recent reading is been a little bit slow. I have been in a bit of a rut, I think, probably since the last season ended. I think maybe the pressure was off to continually have something new to talk about, and
You crashed.
I crashed a little
Podcast
bit.
burnout for you.
Absolutely. I've really enjoyed the things that I have read, but the volume has been, a lot less. And definitely I've been gravitating towards shorter books, more novellas or just shorter works of memoir or lit fic. Yeah, that's been what I've been up to reading-wise since we last spoke.
Yeah.
Oh.
What about you, Sarah? I feel like you've been on one
Oh,
so
no.
far this year.
What are you talking about?
Been reading a
I just
lot.
feel like you've been like really enthusiastic.
I've been very
You've got your
relaxed. Yeah, I've
Book bug back.
yeah, I've really I'm the opposite of Belle, but I have been struggling with reading for a few years because of work stress and whatever, life stress. This year I finally clicked back into it at the start of the year. I do know read podcasts, but the first year I did the pod, it takes a while to sort of work out how you're going to balance this kind of quote unquote professional reading or like obliged reading and your fun reading. So it's definitely easy to really overcommit and burn yourself out on. It's hard not to, I would say, actually. So yeah, I definitely have had that as well. The first like couple of seasons or whatever of the pod that I did. It's exhausting because you're just like, yeah, let's do all this. Let's look at this whole price list, like blah blah blah. But yeah, this year I've back into reading as a proper habit, which is really exciting, and I'm finding it. Yeah, I just have a lot more space in my head for reading than I have for a long time. So yeah, I'm back into the sort of daily habit of reading, and I'm really, really happy about it. So that's how I've been.
Can I ask, how are you doing that? Are you incorporating a regular nighttime reading thing, or is there a regular time in your day that you're reading more, or is it just you're just finding more space to read everywhere?
I am prioritizing it a little bit more. It's at night is where I do most of my reading, and I just have just more in a place where I can be settled to read for a longer period of time, so I can go to bed a bit earlier, that kind of stuff, so that I wasn't really in a good headspace for that kind of thing for a while. I also sometimes read in the morning. I'll read like a non-fiction chapter, sometimes, not super regularly. So my intention, but it only happens probably 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah, but mostly at nighttime, I would say. And then I will on weekends. Oh, this is the other thing. I have more chill weekend days than I used to. So I have more kind of time where I will sit outside and read, that kind of thing. Whereas previously my weekends were like activities or work, actually. I don't know why I'm saying activities. It was work. So yeah, now I just have more actual time off and I try to spend some good time reading. And that's I've got a little goal, which is to average 50 pages a day. That's my kind of goal. So I calculated what that was. I don't know what it is, 18,000 or something. So that's my little Storygraph goal for the year. And it doesn't have to be like, it can obviously, however it comes. But I'm so far doing very well. So I'm really, and this is like the most I've read in years at this point. So I'm really pleased. That's my story.
That's really good. I've had a fairly enjoyable but like casual start to the year, really, and just it is that pressure of recording a podcast about books that, yeah, I think we've all shared our experiences in the past, that it doesn't bring a level of stress, but it definitely brings a level of prescribed reading, which means slotting in books that you might just pick up by chance or on a whim doesn't happen for the months that we're publishing episodes. So yeah, I am very much enjoying our seasonal format.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, I enjoy the fact that we give ourselves a proper break and I can read what I want. It doesn't matter. There's no pressure because I don't necessarily need to talk about what I've read. So yeah, I've just been reading what I want. Not loads of books. Like I said, the only time I get to read is before bed, and I'm very lucky if I stay awake. Yeah, slow progress, but enjoyable. I'm enjoying it. Enjoying my reading at the moment. Probably about to go into Women's Prize season reading now, though, so I might knock that all on the head for a little while. But yeah, that's the way it goes, doing a book podcast.
Yeah.
I think I need to start setting a nice routine of reading before bed, but not in bed, because I find that I have a really good intention of reading, but as soon as I actually get in bed, I'm like, nah, I'm too tired. Or I'll open a book and read 2 pages and then be like, no, I'm ready to go to sleep now. And so I think maybe I need to read on the couch and then, have that as a nice routine.
I am using the Storygraph streak function. There's in the app. Storygraph, if you don't know, is like a Goodreads alternative. It's very cool. Very good app, actually. There's this little streak where you can set a little goal for like daily reading. And mine's 10 pages. So it's only a little guy. And that kind of really helped me just get into this micro habit, because 10 pages is not very, depending on how fast you read, but yeah, it's not a very long burst for me. So that was one of the things I did. So I'm on 103 days at the moment, which I'm pretty happy about.
Do you set that up through challenges? Is that how you do it? I didn't know about the streak thing.
No, I'm now looking at it. I've never heard of it before.
Separate function called streak. For me, it's when I'm looking at my current reads. It's at the top. There's a little fire symbol. I'm looking on the app.
Yeah. I need to update my app. Maybe it's...
Or if you go into reading stats in the little pie-shaped thing down the bottom, there's for me, I've then got a current streak. I haven't got premium or anything. I've got the free version. I've got a streak. It's just my current streak is 102 or 103 rather. And you can set it.
Maybe I'm actually just not using it frequently enough to update my, like, how far through books I am to get it. Anyway, I'll look into that because that sounds really good.
So then that just helped me to chip away at a tiny little, like 10 pages is quite, you could even do 5, like depending on your, often, weirdly, the books that I read are quite small, as in short, as in physically not very tall. So at 10 pages, just, I don't know. It's because I like those squat books, as so do you, Belle. So
stubby books.
Yeah, it's very stubby. We don't read those tall paperbacks. Neither of us.
Don't even get us started on those. I think that's,
We like a squat book.
I exclusively buy my books in the small format, or when I go to the UK, which is the only time that I can buy new releases now that Australian publishing has decided to release the books.
Do you remember you sent me on a mission once? I wish I could remember what book. This was a couple of years ago. I was in the Netherlands and you were like, oh, is there any chance you could go and just take a look at the dimensions of this book? Because you find this ISBN for me. You were trying to order something online and you were really
Yeah.
worried it was because you
It
couldn't
was
find
going
the
to come
dimensions for
big.
it.
It was going to come, yeah.
And you were like, just send me a photo so I could just be sure.
Should we talk recent reads? So I recently finished Raising Hare by Chloe Dalton, which is shortlisted on the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction list. And I really loved it. It's a memoir about a lady who, I think she was a journalist, and during COVID, she had to move back to the countryside. I don't know, probably to her second home. Who knows? Back to the countryside anyway. And she finds Leveret abandoned on a country track, like near her house. And eventually she goes back to get it because the parent Hare never returns. And it's her memoir of raising that little Leveret. And it's just really cleverly interwoven with factual stuff about hares and the research that she does on them and how this little hare affects her life and her life decisions. And it's just really, it's really good. It's a really good nature memoir. I always worry a little bit, I've talked about this before, that memoirs like that are going to be a little bit like, I don't know, white savoury or white middle class women just doing stupid things because they haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
And
I remember you had this issue with that book, The Wintering,
Wintering.
when you thought it was going to be like a beautiful going back to nature thing, and it was actually quite...
Yeah, it was quite patronising, the right word. Yeah, it was, some of it was quite silly and like I was not the right audience for that book. Whereas this one very much is like a nature writing memoir, and I really, really enjoyed it. And she's a very sensible middle-class white lady. So, yeah, it's just beautifully written, probably because she's a journalist and knows how to write. But yeah, just the story of this hare and how there comes a point in the book where the hare's it's jumped the garden wall and she thinks that's it. And she knew that day would come, that it would just leave. And then the next thing, like, this little baby Leveret's in the garden. And so this goes on for kind of a few generations of this hare's family, is that it comes back to the house to have little babies. So yeah, it's really lovely. And there's no big sad ending. It's just very reflective on life and, yeah, nature and the natural world. So yeah, very much enjoyed it. It's the only one off the long list. The short list I've obviously read, so I can't really say I'd like it to win, but yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed if it did. Yeah, it's a lovely book.
That sounds lovely. My fear that, well, my question was going to be, does the hare die in the end? Because I really don't read animal books because of that reason. It's like the
You
same
never know.
reason. You just don't know.
So
Okay.
she's interviewed by the end. She's interviewed at the end by the narrator,
Yeah.
which is a really nice segment at the end, almost like a podcast episode about it. And she says the age of the hare and the fact that eventually she didn't see it anymore. She just had to assume that, yeah, it has either left for good or probably had died of old age. But its babies were still around.
And so it wasn't a big,
yeah.
some big dramatic.
No, it wasn't a
sad
big
ending.
thing. And
Okay,
actually, she
nice.
didn't address it. She didn't address it in the main book. She only talked about it because she's interviewed about it at the end.
Yeah, well, that sounds
Otherwise,
beautiful.
it's just left for you to understand. That's how nature
Yeah,
works,
works,
and
and
how
that's
it
the
wasn't a big
cycle.
deal. Yeah, very good.
Okay, I've added that to my ever-growing to read list on Storygraph. That sounds lovely. And
What about you, Belle? Go on.
yeah,
you
yeah,
next
we can
with one.
take turns. I did talk about it on the Patreon. This is a sort of issue with me not having read too many, not necessarily too many books, but not too many ones that I feel that I
Worth
talk
talking
about.
about.
Yeah. But one of them is a novella called The Party by Tessa Hadley. And apologies, I did talk about this on the Patreon. For everybody else, it is a really beautiful book. It's a short read. It's only 115 pages and a small book as well. It's a coming-of-age novella. It's set in post-World War II Bristol and follows two sisters. I think one of them's in her first year of university, about 18, 19, and then her older sister who's a couple of years ahead of her. And it basically is set over a weekend that is a really pivotal weekend for the sisters, both individually but also for their relationship. It really changes everything and is a real pivotal sort of moment that brings them into a new phase of life and a new depth to their understanding of each other as not just childhood sort of annoying older sister, younger sister relationship, but as grown-ups, and their connection as sisters as well just changes over the weekend, which is really lovely. Like you can see it turning into just more of a friendship as happens. And I know, that without some big pivotal moment that happened to my sister and I as well, at some stage we turned from her being my annoying little sister to her now being my best friend, really. It's a really beautiful story. It's really interesting as well. It basically, on the Saturday night, they go to a party at a sort of a bit of a dive bar sort of pub, and they meet two older guys who are obviously of a different class, like a status to them. They're obviously wealthy, and they both intrigue and repulse the sisters. They ask for their number, and then at the end of the night, they expect never to see these guys again. And then the next day, it's beautiful. They're sort of both very hungover at home and trying to hide their hangovers from their parents. And they get a call and they get invited by these guys to this massive mansion where one of them lives with his sister. And it's basically this big abandoned mansion that they've inherited. And they're basically squatting in it, living in only a couple of rooms, and the rest of the rooms are just like massive with beautiful furniture covered with sheets, and it's that sort of setting. And they're invited to this quite intimate gathering of all these very rich friends who have all got very established relationships and dynamics. And it's just a very like pivotal night for them. I feel like I keep saying that word, but yeah, it just really beautifully captures how things can change so quickly in terms of coming of age and relationships between siblings. Tessa Hadley is a beautiful writer. It's brilliantly written. It's really concise writing. That sort of concise writing that I really admire, that lacks no depth in setting or character development. You feel that there's nothing taken away by the fact that it is a novella and it's only 115 pages. You're completely immersed in the story. Yeah, that's been probably my favourite book that I've read recently, and a big recommendation.
Nice. Yeah, we had a good chat about that one on the most recent Patreon episode, I think, the March Patreon. I have just read Strange Flowers by Donal Ryan, which is a debut. I think he's written another book since then, but this is his debut. He's an Irish writer. And Strange Flowers is about a little country town in Ireland, and it is about a woman who disappears, and then she's missing for quite a few years, and then it is set from the perspective of her parents, who are obviously very devastated and not sure where she is. And then a few years later, I think about 5 years later, she just comes back. Basically without explanation, she reappears. And then her parents aren't really sure how to deal with it. They're not really sure how to tackle. This is in the 70s. There's a lot of discussion in the town, of course, about what's happened and why she's come back. And she is basically not giving them anything. And so they just carry on with life. And then as the novel unfolds, you sort of learn more and more about what was happening with her and why she has gone, why she went missing, and what the story is. There's a lot of rumour and gossip, as you can imagine. It's very Irish. It's only 200 pages. It's got a very similar kind of Claire Keegan vibe. Very Irish, the whole thing. Yeah, I really liked it. It's quite intriguing. It hasn't quite got as beautiful writing as a sort of Claire Keegan. And I don't know why I keep reading these sort of Irish books. I don't know if they're as for me as I think they might be, but I really enjoyed it. Belle would love it, I can tell you. You would really love it, Belle. But yeah, very good. 70s Ireland. Very gossipy, everyone's like, she's missing. They all go to church, then everyone's talking about them, that kind of thing.
I'd love that. Yeah. That sounds great. That sounds fantastic.
the reasons why she's gone missing are also quite probably not what you would expect either. So more and more is revealed. Yeah. So then it changes. The whole town is God. So they all get quite confronted by various things that I can't say because that would be a big spoiler. But yeah, very literary, very cool. I liked it.
My next book, which is intrigued to talk to you about, is Normal Women by Ainsley Hogarth. So I absolutely loved them. I think it was last year that Mother Thing was one of my favourite reads. And I've literally just finished Normal Women. And I was really disappointed by it. So yeah, it's about the premise of it, I really like the sound of. It's about a woman called Danny who's just had a baby. I reckon the baby's probably 4 to 6 months old. And I thought the book was going to deal with those kind of early days of motherhood. And it does in a way, and it deals with kind of your loss of identity when you're a mum with a very small baby. And she befriends a prostitute that runs a brothel come yoga studio under the guise of a religious organisation so they can get away with it. And it starts off with her kind of stalking this lady, Renata, and eventually she comes to the car and they start having conversations in the car, and Danny sees it as a profession that maybe she could do. Actually, it's something that maybe she could fit into her life and, yeah, not just earn money, but be more than just a mum at home with not much more purpose in life. So it feels like it would have a lot to say. And I did enjoy it to start with. Otherwise, I would have done Sarah's 50-page rule or whatever and DNF'd it. There's really funny commentary on Mumsnet forums and that kind of thing. So I did really enjoy it to a certain extent. But by the end, just the plot was really lacking. The ending is, considering the ending of Mother Thing, the ending of this is so the opposite. It's nothing.
It's so disappointing.
It's almost a cop-out. So I was like, oh, God, this wasn't even a payoff at the end of all of this. So yeah, it's just a really strange book. One of those ones that I'm like, was she trying to say something that I'm just not clever enough to get here? Was the commentary on, I don't know, social acceptance of prostitution and sex work? I don't know what she was trying to get at. I was like, either this book's too clever for me or it really was just quite boring and a bit plotless. And maybe she just didn't have the hook she thought she did.
Yeah, miss the mark.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, I was gutted really, because I loved Mother Thing so much. So I thought it was going to be another and I really persevered with it because it was kind of weird and was quirky. And I was like, okay, the ending of this is going to be good, because the lady that she befriends goes missing.
Oh.
So that's the whole kind of story, is that she goes missing and she's doing this kind of sleuthing in the background and her husband's involved. And I thought, oh, this is really going somewhere cool. And the ending was just, yeah, nothing.
Yeah, because if I remember when you read Mother Thing, it really came together at the end, right? You really liked the way that it resolved, and from memory.
She has this kind of, now I've read 2 of them, she does have this very quirky, funny tone to her books, and they are a little bit meandering, but the payoff of Mother Thing was so worth it. I just don't really know what happened with this one. Unless I completely missed the point of it.
That's really disappointing. I am currently reading a book called The Hotel by Daisy Johnson, and it's a spooky read. So this is a rec for Jen, and I was a bit hooked by one of the sort of review quotes on the cover when I saw this, and it says, Daisy Johnson is a demon offspring of Shirley Jackson and Stephen King. And so I was like,
yeah, I would like her then.
Yeah, instantly picked that up. Instantly picked that up. And it seems to be, like you were talking about, a spooky house and a house that's alive. It seems to be almost about a plot of land that is cursed, because it's got multiple each chapter is sort of a short story about a different generation, starting with the first building that was on this little plot of land, which was a farmhouse, and where a lady was accused of being a witch and was killed. And then it seems that they have then built a hotel on this land after the house was burnt down, I think. And the hotel itself seems to sort of have a life of its own. And I'll just read you what's on the back of the book because I think it's enough of a hook. It says, "This is what we know about the hotel. The hotel is bigger on the inside than the outside. Doors and windows do not stay in the same places. The hotel listens. The hotel watches. We'll be at the hotel soon." And I've read the first maybe chapter and a half, and it's good. It's really good. And I'm almost wanting to exclusively read it at night so that it spooks me even more. You know, you can't really read a scare. Yeah, maybe it won't, but it's the sort of book where you're like, I need to savor it because it is short. It's only, I want to say about 130 pages. And so I'm like, I need to make the most of this. I think I want to be a bit spooked. Make sure that I'm maximum spooked by this book because I think
maximum spooked. I forgot your journey to finding like a super spooky book.
Yes.
I have all her books on my TBR and Storygraph. The hotel, I think, and I can't quite work out if it's being read or if this is, it must be. If you go to BBC Radio 4, I think it was read verbatim on BBC Radio 4 if you want to listen to the audio of it. I can't think it was serialised if it's only 130 pages, so it's broken up into 15 episodes with a different author, actress narrating it. So yes, I think it is the book being read. So yeah, if you want to audio it for free, it is there on the BBC website.
What are you currently reading?
Nice. I'm currently reading The Sandcastle by Iris Murdoch. I've only read The Sea by Iris Murdoch quite a long time ago, maybe 10 years ago, which I really enjoyed. So she's one of those authors that I've always intended to go back to. So she is, for people who don't know Iris Murdoch, she's a sort of one of those kind of classic canonical British writers, I would say. She was writing all through the 20th century, so the 20s to the 90s.
I've never read anything by her.
Yeah, but I don't think she's that. I think she's one of those kind of canonical writers. So The Sandcastle is about a teacher, Bill, who falls in love with he's middle-aged, he's got wife and kids, and then he falls in love with this sort of esoteric and introspective painter that comes to the school to do I think she's commissioned to do a portrait of the headmaster or something like that. And so they have a sort of odd connection, and he falls in love with her. This is published in the 50s, so the way that this kind of unpacks it's the 50s, so it's slightly different. But he and his marriage is quite, let's say, complex. It's not that particularly happy. The dynamic between him and his wife is quite strained in a lot of ways. Their relationship is very far from ideal, but then they've set up this life together, so he's thinking about what to do. It sounds like a bit of a naff story, but I'm really enjoying it thus far. Iris Murdoch's writing is very simplistic. It's quite pared back for the level of emotion that's in the book. So there's a lot of complexity that she puts in, like, very neatly. The characters are really well done. Everyone is very complex. It sounds like a very black and white story, but it's very far from a black and white story. And all of the characters are very imperfect. And she's got a very subtle way of showing you don't really like any of them, so you sort of want to feel you don't like the teacher because he's thinking about leaving his wife. And you meet his wife and you're like, oh, okay. Everyone's it's very Iris Murdoch in that way. Everyone's a bit ugh. And the scene that I read of hers was very similar in that respect. So she's got this very sort of artful way of making everyone a little bit distasteful. But it's very subtle. Really, really, really enjoying it thus far. I think I'm about 2/3 of the way, and really like it.
I find that really interesting when authors write really unlikable characters well, so that you're really confused. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no one in this book. Everyone's just kind of a bit like, ugh. I think she has very true observations of what people are actually like. And in these kind of situations, everyone is a bit selfish and not that moral or whatever. And that's very much what's happening here. Yeah, because you feel sorry for the wife, and then from her perspective, when you read about how she's actually thinking about her marriage, you're like, oh, okay. That's also a bit not that great. So yeah, I really like her stuff. She's a writer she's a writer that I don't know why I'm so trying to make me the author so desperately. She's a writer that I read it. You see a lot of people in like The Guardian and that kind of stuff writing about her, but I don't hear super much about her on podcast world or the booktube world for sure.
I am reading Orbital by Samantha Harvey, which won the Booker, right?
Yeah, that's on hold.
I
at the
picked it
library
up
for me right now.
because I took Dylan to the library and forgot to take my book, because about the only time I get to do daytime reading is when I take him there and he plays and I read. And it was just there, so I was like, just pick up and start reading it. And yeah, each chapter is like one orbit of, I don't know, the sun, the moon, one of them.
The moon, right?
The sun,
are they orbiting the moon? Isn't that the
Yeah.
story?
They orbit quicker than the Earth orbits the sun, so I'm assuming it's the moon. Yeah, and I'm not very far into it. But yeah, I am very much enjoying it so far. I think it's going to be a very me book. Chris emailed me a little while ago and said he was reading it and thought that I'd really enjoy it. So yeah, it's super short as well, which I am quite enjoying at the moment. A short book to whip your way through.
Yeah, I still haven't read that. Remember we did the Booker episode last year and I did it with Cobby, and she was like, yeah, it sounded really good. And then I think I've had it on hold for ages actually. It's really popular. But yeah, it sounds really good.
Yeah, I don't know why it was at my library, because then when I went on to my library account to go on renew books that were overdue, like there were 7 people waiting for it. I was like, somebody cocked up in the library system there then. Let me pick it up off the shelf. So yeah, no, hopefully that'll be a quick read and I let someone else have it.
Nice.
It was probably supposed to go on the holds shelf.
Yeah,
and someone just forgot.
Some old volunteers stuck it back on the shelf.
That's
Bless
lucky.
Sarah, do you just want to outline
let's
the upcoming season for us?
So we've got some. I'm not going to be super committed because we like to change our plans sometimes. But I can tell you that the next episode we've got coming up is a book and film comparison to Wicked, which should be really good. I think I really liked recording it, Jenny. We've already recorded it. We had a good time.
Yeah, it
was good fun.
Felt good.
It was a very structured
Hopefully it
episode.
sounds all right
Jenny
when we
came
edit
in
it.
guns blazing.
I did.
We're going to be chatting Women's Prize stuff, of course, the fiction and non-fiction versions this year. We will do a Claire Keegan focused episode. So we might do either an author spotlight on Claire Keegan, or we might talk about... Well, we did already talk about one of her films. So yeah, we might do an author spotlight on Claire Keegan. We will probably do a couple of episodes focused on particular books. So we might do a couple of specific book review episodes. Belle and I made some plans in the last Patreon episode. I think I cut that bit out, so I haven't committed to it. But we have got the book that shall remain nameless. Then we'll probably do a Stella episode. Probably we'll focus on the Stella Prize at some point. We are also going to do a book to film about the talented Mr. Ripley, which I haven't started or watched yet. So I've got a lot of work to do for that episode, but I think that's in the works. So that should be really good. And I'm
excited to hear that episode.
It should be quite good. I'm excited about that when I get the book. Yeah, and that's about all. That's about all I'm going to commit to. Got some other things on the plan that I'm just ignoring for now.
We do switch up as we go along. As much as we like to think we're planned ahead, inevitably we change.
Sometimes you're enthusiastic about something, and then when it actually comes to it, you're like, well, actually can't be bothered.
Oh, you realise how much work it's going to be, and we sack it off. We haven't planned season 4, so the second season this year. So if any of our listeners have got ideas, then we do encourage you to get in touch with us. We're always looking for ideas. We certainly don't have endless ideas.
Although, speaking who's been down here in the bottom right on the spreadsheet?
Oh, me.
Goodness me, I've got some ideas aplenty down here.
I have put some ideas down. But yeah, if anybody's got any suggestions, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah,
One
please.
of the suggestions for this season, I think we're going to do it. I've looked into it today because I didn't know how we were going to... I hadn't committed us to it because I didn't know how we were going to structure this. Was doing if you've enjoyed this book, then you'll enjoy XYZ. And I didn't know how we would structure that, but I've had a little think, and I thought maybe, because me and Belle are down to do the episode, I thought maybe...
News to me.
We could task...
Hey.
Yeah, here you go. I'm going to tell you how it's going to work. I thought we could task each other. So I give you a book title, you give me a book title, and we go away and do that bit of research. And we could get a listener to nominate a book as well that we could both then cover. So I think we can do it. I'm not quite sure how, but I think that might work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might get in touch on Instagram is usually where we put those kind of shout outs for somebody to give us a challenge to go away and make some recommendations based on a book that they've already enjoyed.
Nice.
Okay, so that's the upcoming season. I put a little shout out on Instagram today to ask if our listeners had read any bangers this year already, and we actually had loads of responses. I was quite surprised. We had 2 people say I Who Have Never Known Men by Jaqueline Harpman, which I remember Alice, one of the OG hosts on this podcast, really enjoying. So it's definitely a book we've talked about on this podcast before. So yeah, I was surprised that 2 people had said that one. How to Lose the Time War by Amal, El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone. Natural Beauty by Ling, Huang. In Memorial by Alice Winn. Love in Colour by Bolu, Babalola. Fundamentally by, oh God, I should have pressed this person's name.
You're doing very well so far.
Nussaibah Younis is how I'd say that. Okay.
Sure.
Fundamentally by Nussaibah Younis, which has just been shortlisted for the Women's Prize. I have reserved that at the library. I didn't tell you about my Women's Prize success for the shortlist this year. I never get the shortlist right, ever. Inevitably, if I decide I'm going to read something off the long list, it will not be shortlisted. But out of the 5 books that I reserved at the library, 4 of them were shortlisted. That never happened. So I'm like at the front of the queue for those ones. But
Does
yeah,
that mean you're going to read them,
fundamentally
Jen, and do a episode about the Women's
So the
Prize?
5th one that wasn't on the shortlist, I've cancelled. So I'm hoping that, I do fully plan. One of them's a safe keep. So I'm excited to read that one. Yeah, one of them's Fundamentally. Probably not going to remember the other 2. But yeah, someone else has said Nesting by Roisin O'Donnell, which Sarah's just highlighted, but I don't know if you've done that for a reason.
No, I didn't mean to. Only because I've heard a lot of really good reviews about that one, that's all. But
I thought you were going to have something to say.
no, sorry. Oh, just that. I haven't read it, but that's all.
If Only by Vigdis. Oh God, this name I'm going to butcher because it's, I don't know, it's Scandinavian. Vigdis Hijorth? Probably don't pronounce the J. I think that was friend of the pod, Millie's recommendation. There's a few more. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Talking to the Dead by Helen Dunmore. Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen, which I've read. It's very good. And then this final one, which I'm going to just quickly read the blurb for because I thought it sounded really good, was Dog by Rob Perry, which I've never heard of. When 18-year-old Benjamin Glass goes to look at a dead whale that is washed up on the beach, he meets an unfamiliar dog who follows him home to his caravan. Benjamin isn't equipped to take care of a dog. He has a chronic fear of germs and is currently living alone while his grandmother is in hospital. But when a delivery driver recognises the dog as the mighty Gary, the fastest greyhound in the country, and tells Benjamin about his unsavoury owners, Benjamin is forced to trust the stranger on his doorstep and devise a plan to keep Gary safe. As Benjamin becomes more attached to the dog, it becomes clear that his trust in the delivery driver may well have been misplaced. He will have to leave his comfort zone, take some unhygienic risks, cross paths with dangerous and powerful men, and confront his very worst fears if he has any hope of protecting what he loves the most. So I've never heard of that before, but I thought that
sounds
sounded really good.
great.
Yeah, that sounded like a great one. So thank you to everybody that responded, considering I only, as ever, because we're so organised, put that shout out today. Yeah, everyone has listed some great reads there, and I've already added a few to my TBR.
Yeah,
I
well
would
done.
definitely second the I Who Have Never Known Men. I think we talked about that in depth a couple of seasons ago, or maybe when pre it being seasons. Maybe when I was a guest. I can't remember. But
Yeah,
early
days, definitely.
early days. That was one that you guys sent me in the post when I was
I
a
did.
patron.
I remember choosing it for you.
And
Alice chose it for you.
I loved it, and I actually made I've got a book club with friends, really just as an excuse to make sure that we catch up like every 6 weeks. But it was the first book that I made everyone read in the book club. Everyone loved it. loved
Awesome.
it. So if you
No
haven't
wonder
read
two
it,
people have flagged it.
Cool. Nice. Thanks for putting all those recs in, everyone. We really appreciate it. It's also I find it really interesting to hear what our listeners are actually reading. So thank you very much. Thanks, Jen and Belle. Hope you enjoyed the record. I don't know why I'm saying that. But thanks for listening.
Loved it.
I did.
Let me start
I did.
again. I'm going to say it again.
Thanks for recording.
Thanks, Jen and Belle.
thanks for showing up.
All right, that's it. That's the end of this episode. Thank you very much. That's the season coming up. I hope you tune in again. If you want to get in contact with us, you may. We are the Bookcast Club at outlook.com. Oh, the kettle's boiling. It's chaos. You may also message us on Instagram. We are at Bookcast Club, or also on TikTok, I believe.
Quick, before it gets
We are
louder.
also, Bookcast Club. Why is the kettle on? Good Lord.
Chaos.
All right, the kettle's off. Let me start again. All right. Good Lord.
No, I love it.
No,
I love the
that was
chaotic
great.
energy. Just keep going.
Just keep going.
We also have a newsletter that you can sign up to where we have more reviews, new releases, podcast recommendations, etc. And we also have a Patreon where we have additional bonus episodes. Lots of tiers. You can get books in the post. It's really fun over there. Have a look if you would like more of us. Thank you very much, and we will speak to you in a week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Right, pals. It's 10 to 11.
Sorry, Jen.
I still need to have my bedtime cup of tea.
Oh, no.
It's fucking crazy. You can boil the kettle now.